Here we are in another episode of the Odds Pod. I'm Ben Hennessy, and this
I'm
is.
Dave Hendrick. How's it going?
Hey, how we doing, Dave? We good?
I am fine. Yeah, not a bother. Had a few days off, so I'm not fit, tanned, and rested, but certainly relaxed. But yeah, it's all good. How are you?
Pretty good. We have some new digs for the show tonight. Actually, we're on Instagram tonight for the first time,
Ooh.
and we'll see
So
how
are
that
we
goes.
like Instagram models now?
That's it. That's how it works, right? As soon as you go Instagram live on
Yeah.
a business account,
Right.
you're officially an Instagram model. I think that's it. So
Yeah.
that goes on our cover of our CVs.
Mhm.
Top and front, I
So
believe.
Fitspo from me and you.
That's it. Yeah.
Look at
Look
that.
at us. Look at
Better
us
start
lift
wearing more
weights
lycra.
and wobble. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Well, me anyway. Don't know about you.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I wobble in all the wrong places, my friend.
Same. Yeah, it's the glamorous fit life of creatives, I guess, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Sitting all day, eating snacks, drinking pop.
Yeah,
It's all
that's all
good,
it
man.
is. Yeah, it's all those sugary beverages.
Well, now I have to say, shout out to non-sugary beverages.
Oh, the red
But
drink.
I'll have Alzheimer's in about a year, so it'll be fine.
Is that what happens when you drink sugary beverages?
Non-sugary beverages. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
All right.
Allegedly.
That's not a great payoff, is it? You kind of go look after one part of your health, you lose the other one,
We're all gonna go, Ben. I mean, something's gonna happen.
On the note of
Probably sooner than later. So
yeah,
you can carry on without me.
You want to just make sure it's your choice. On the note of people going out, how about that? Right? Did you see that one coming?
He's not dead.
No, but he's not. He's not in the race anymore.
But he appears to have had his fair share of sugary beverages or non-sugary beverages over the last while.
I was hoping you'd get that. So we say bye then to Biden and hello to Kamala. Huh? Hey, did you like that? I know by your face you didn't like that.
I mean, back in the day, now I would have put you on the back bench down in News International, working for the Sun with headlines like that.
You'd be right to.
Yeah.
So what's your take on this? Do you think we're in safer hands now?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think safety was the issue. I think they're gonna kill people no matter what happens. I mean, they're gonna mung their wars wherever they're meant to be munged.
Yeah. But better these guys than the
others. Yeah. So, she's an interesting individual, and certainly has, I mean, just watching the news there, it's like they've allowed a child into the race, because the comparative difference in energy compared to what we had with Joe and what we have with Trump, right? And just the she comes off as this kind of,
bubbly, happy,
she's like the Flash, she's just like here, there, and then you realize she's just speaking at a regular pace. It's just the others can't. So by comparison, she seems like a superhero.
So do you think we'll see the opposite side now have the same argument? They'll talk about Trump old. No, you don't see that flip.
No, because they think he's a Superman. And they think God's on his side, and that's not going to happen. They'll blame anybody and everybody. They'll take it out on JD Vance for not being, black or female enough or something. They're insane. They're absolutely insane. So yeah. I mean, yeah, I if I was there and I could vote, I'd vote for her.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
From what I kind of have looked into since this has looked like it was happening over the past 4 weeks or so, seems to have a great rep. It seems very capable. I think that's
it's funny. I was watching.
Who's capable?
I was watching the Channel 4 news there, and which, if you're going to watch the news, watch the Channel 4 news, everybody. But Matt Fry was talking to some Republican dink, and all their talking points against her are just total lies. Just like, oh, she's
Really?
soft on crime. It's like she was a DA. Like,
Yeah.
she was the Attorney General of San Francisco, of California. She was a DA in San Francisco. Like she locks people up. She was so tough on crime that the Dems, as a as an organization, were kind of having to have a word with her. It was like, that's not what we do,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
All
I
right. Nice.
mean,
I did
they
not
just
know
don't
that.
have an argument against her, other
I
than
think
her laugh, which is, you know, fine. It's a meme or something, and it's like something about coconuts. I don't know, but yeah, it's insane. They haven't a leg to stand on with her. I think he's already backed out of a debate.
I heard that. I heard what he's already said is he will not do any debates with her at all. Not just the one debate, but he just won't do anything with her.
Yeah, I mean, that's
So
pure cowardice. But I think he's kind of, he's a classy guy, so he's gone for a pure cowardice wrapped up in a hint of racism and misogyny.
yeah,
It's
I mean, they call it the Trump
right
special. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, she'd wipe the floor with him.
Which is what we'd all love to see, I mean, if I think it would be as big a win for those guys as the debate was for Trump, was a big kind of surprise. I think if she had that seat opposite him, it'd be amazing.
I think we need to
great
put that first debate in perspective. I don't think Trump won that debate.
Mm.
I think Biden lost that debate.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Trump didn't really say anything of any consequence in that debate, but he didn't have to.
That's the thing. Yeah. All he had to do was be better than the guy next to him, and he was, unfortunately.
Yeah. Look, she'd absolutely wipe the floor with him, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see that.
No, I don't think so either. I think they'll pretty much do what to go to my term of reference, what Conor McGregor did to Frankie Edgar. Just dodged him and dodged him and dodged him, and like never came across a fight with that guy, even though it was the most obvious one to make and it was the most obvious one he'd lose. I think they're going to avoid the one they're going to lose, so that we won't see a debate against Kamala.
No, it's not going to happen. And yeah, we'll move on. She's hopefully now she'll have an impact on the younger voters. She'll have an impact on female voters. She'll have an impact on voters of color. So it's just the crusty white dudes that are going to hold things up. So it's all in the choice of her VP. I think is what will pull the white vote in.
That? Is there any kind of likely suspects coming up on that?
Yeah, there's 5 or 6 floating around, but she's probably going to have to go with a guy from one of the battlefield states, one of the battleground states.
That makes sense.
Because they want someone. Well, they want someone who's going to deliver that state, especially if it's a swing, and that will then that should seal the deal. Because really, at the end of the day, 100,000 people decide who the president of the United States is. When you get into the numbers on it, because all of these states always vote blue, and all of these states always vote red, and it's these swings in the middle
to be focused on
that decide it, and if she can take one of those pretty effectively through and use the VP pick to swing that for her, then there's hope. I mean, she's currently the last poll, which now was done before all this happened, had her down 3 points on Trump. Had Trump 5 points ahead of Biden, but this was when it was a Biden-Trump race. So it will be interesting to see, in a couple of days when the poll results come in, what the new paradigm is there.
God, I get hopeful, because we were on this last week talking about how we could see a civil war possibility, in the States.
It's still on the table, man. It's always
a little less though, right? There's a little bit of something good here, a little bit more of something good here. That could possibly shift that.
I mean, you end up with an election that they just will not accept, with a result that they won't accept.
Well, they didn't the last time, I guess.
Yeah, but they've been through that from the last one. And maybe, this is the sequel
I
and they
think
go
they'd be
harder.
ready. Well, I think both sides would be ready for it. That's how that'd go. I guess that is Civil War territory, but
Yeah, well, fingers crossed it won't ever get to that, but
absolutely. I feel like we're less. I feel like there's a corner we can turn there into somewhere better.
yeah.
And I hope that's what happens.
Yeah.
Let's want to hit another corner.
Okay. Ugh.
Coming out
Who
over
are
the
these
next few
guys?
days.
I've never seen these
Yeah,
guys before.
who are they?
Yeah. This is new.
So we talked about this last week, and we both talked about like maybe how possibly worried we both were because there's so much advertising
The
about this.
ubiquity of it. Yeah. It's
I'm
just
back on the
everywhere.
hype train again, though. I think it's going to be good. Like the latest stuff I've seen on YouTube, pretty good. I think it's great. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's all I hope it is. I hope it's just a lot of fun. It doesn't have to do anything massively new and change the Marvel Universe and bring it back to the position that it was in 10 years ago. It just has to be a fun film. I think it will be. Like, it looks great. Yeah.
I mean, it's a movie that's going to be, well, that has been made by very competent people about very interesting characters with some of the best people in the world, technically, who are working behind the scenes to make this work. So I have no doubt it will be a spectacle and a very enjoyable one at that. Will it be a good film?
Okay.
As good films go, I don't know, but
what got my hopes up again, right? So there's going to be something we talk about later on tonight that I think suffered from possibly having a massive script change a little late in the day, and it meant things wandered and things didn't really go in the direction that they felt like they were going to lean into. Whereas went back and kind of looked at some of the news on this, and what we got was when they tried to bring in She-Hulk into this, that was vetoed out. It was kind of too late in the day for such a big thing to happen. Wouldn't have
into
worked.
This.
Yeah.
I have no idea whether they tried.
Yeah, they were supposed to kind of bring this because it was just after She-Hulk had been on, and they kind of wanted to kind of bring her into something more.
Where's this sourced from?
Oh, it's been all over. Like this is something that came out maybe a year ago. Certainly months and months and months ago. And like the fact that the lads had the cop on to go, we're not just putting this in just for the sake of putting this in, makes me feel like they had a bit more authorship about the creation of this, and I think that puts it in safer hands. Not because they're brilliant, just because we can't have an issue of too many cooks. I kind of got my hopes back up again, thinking maybe this is a safer production than I bargained for, and maybe it's just because there's so much promise to Jackman, saying that they were going to land him a good Wolverine role post Logan, because Logan was so good and he was finished after Logan, that maybe this is being publicized because they've actually got him to agree to a role here again. So I'm back being optimistic, Ben. I'm going to stay optimistic, Ben, until I see this.
Okay.
But
that's good, because that gives us a point of contrast, because I'm not optimistic.
Pessimistic Dave. Yeah.
Look, I love Marvel. I love Marvel. But I don't know. Third time around the block with Deadpool. I think this is going to be, from what I've seen the trailer, I've seen like 2 trailers, I think, and in fairness to them, they're keeping their cards close to the chest still. But I do think this is them cleaning up the mess that is the Fox Marvel universe.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
Because they're using the multiverse TVA mechanism to do that, which is a great, it's a great storytelling mechanism, a great story cleaning mechanism.
Yeah.
So they'll do that. And then I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm going to be quite disappointed if Hugh Jackman continues on in the role of Wolverine.
Same. I think he has to stop after this.
Yeah. I think if he exists in the X-Men universe, in the MCU X-Men universe, he exists as Old Man Logan, who made it back to the 616 and, did all that back in the day with, I think it was Bendis's Bendis was leading X-Men back then. So yeah, that'd be fine, but I don't want to see him as the Wolverine in the
I
MCU.
think, yeah, I
And I'm
agree.
just worried he might be.
Yeah, that's in the back of my head.
Yeah.
It depends on how successful this is, I guess,
I
right?
mean, Biden stepped down. Why can't Hugh? You know?
But I think that will ultimately depend on how well received this film is.
I mean, I don't see Ryan Reynolds doing this forever either.
No, but I think he'd do it for a lot longer if he could, and he'd certainly do it in some other kind of Marvel Avengers film or some other version of not Deadpool, but like some kind of Team Marvel thing. I could see him doing that.
Like X-Force or something.
Something like that, yeah. Whatever they're cooking up for Marvel TV down the line, or even a Marvel film, the new phase or something. I could see him if this goes well. I could see these guys getting called into it. And
I
I
mean,
could
I'm
see
hearing wild
hopefully going for
rumors
it.
about how it ends and about cameos. I'm not going to talk about any of them.
Mhm.
But what you were saying about Shield, that's interesting because what I've heard is there's enough room. There's enough room for everyone in this flick. Yeah. So is that a good or a bad thing? I don't know. Is it just like a look at that? Oh, look at that! Oh, look at that! Oh, it's just huge distraction, you know, from the
That's what I
story
mean.
and
Like
the
it could
film.
just be huge
But
distraction, but the fact that they made a call on that and that their answer to it was too late in the day to make such a huge script change to just accommodate that sounded like a really sensible thing. I've heard that in good productions.
yeah,
Feel
no, that's fair.
you know,
That's
yeah.
absolutely fair. I just have no idea where, how, if, when that actually happened. But um, yeah, I mean, like I thought I have no issues with She-Hulk. Um, as a character in the MCU, I think she's brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any issues with
Hmm.
She-Hulk. It was more so we can't physically do this with the storyline that we have going on.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it meant that they had to add on a certain amount of minutes that they just could not afford.
Right. Okay.
Um,
It'd be interesting. It'd be
yeah,
interesting to see now when after we see this,
if she's
which I'm
in it
sure
or not.
we'll go and see as soon as possible. Well, not whether she's in it or not, but how many other characters have made an appearance, and then you'd be like, well, why wasn't she in it? You know?
Yeah, I agree because like the trailer is basically look at this person and then look at this other one, and is
Oh
this what
man, the
we need
things
to
I've
do?
heard though, like from people who saw it like already, and um, it, yeah, we'll
Have they
move
said
on.
good things?
We'll talk about it next week.
Okay, all right, nice one.
Yeah,
All right, so moving on.
moving on.
Here's something you introduced me to yesterday. I got to watch
Now,
this last night.
this is my
Wow.
favorite movie of the last week. It's 11 minutes long. You have to watch it.
This might be the best thing associated with Marvel to come out in a long, long time.
Marvel
I
Disney.
absolutely burst myself laughing at this. The twists, not all of them. You see a good chunk of them kind of coming, but then the delivery on them is comically timed
So
perfectly. It was just
I'm a huge fan of Jim Cummings, right? So Thunder Road is just one of the best movies about depression you'll ever see. It's one of the funniest movies about depression you'll ever
yeah.
see, and about manliness and what it is to be. Oh man, it's just insane. And you know, this guy knows how to make a movie for
Yeah.
nothing and make it look amazing.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and he acts, he writes. I'm sure he sings and dances. He produces, he directs. He's the full package, you know. And as he's progressed, as his films have developed, like he made a movie called The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which was kind of a murder mystery, kind of a horror,
Cool.
kind of a small town intriguey thing. He made a movie called The Beta Test, which was all about agents in Hollywood and putting yourself through that grind.
That's
Just
interesting.
absolutely, just like everything he makes, he's something to say, right? That's all I want from a movie. is as long as it has something to say and it gets its point across, then I think it's a success.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes in Marvel movies you're like, what the hell are they saying? Right.
But in a lot of shows, sometimes like so many people drift away from the core of what they are. We're going to get into that later on too.
Yeah.
But he certainly didn't. The message in this was crystal clear from the onset, and
Yeah.
the way he delivered it was so unbelievably hilarious, but so dark. I mean,
Oh my God, so dark. Yeah. What an absolute legend.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, huge issues with the industry, that we love, for all of the IP that we love and we're talking about and we propagate and we aspire to and all those things, but he calls out, a massive issue in it, in the corporatization of it all. He calls out, what it does to people's lives and how it's become more important than living.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah.
He calls out the inequality of the movies versus the TV shows, and then the inequality of, straight leads versus gay leads or LGBTQIA plus leads. And
Effortlessly.
just skewers it so well at the end. It's just like,
phrasing.
Yeah, a huge you to everyone, really. And I just think it was just amazing, and just on my knees cheering it, like, or on my feet cheering it, on my knees, on my feet cheering for it. No, it was on my knees cheering for it. No. But yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And
same.
As soon as I watched it, I got my boys and I was like, guys, you got to watch this. And I put it up on the big TV in the living room, and they were just like, "What?"
Were they bursting themselves laughing, or was it more, whoa, did he just say that? Or,
yeah. Well, it was more, and I don't want to give anything away, but it was more. Oh my God, he isn't. Is he?
Yeah,
he isn't.
Is.
He is.
Really good, really good.
So,
Jim Cummings, so like, I only thought he had that one film. It was only yesterday you said loads. So I went down a bit of a rabbit hole last night looking at some of his stuff. He's really interesting. Interviews incredibly well. So cool. Comes across incredibly well. I
had an interaction with him on Twitter years ago where I was like, dude, you've got to be Reed Richards, because I think he would have made an amazing Reed Richards. And now he will never be Reed Richards. I doubt Kevin is. I guarantee you, Kevin's seen it, but I doubt he's a fan.
No, I can't say he's talking about it. Great film, great creator, worth checking, everyone.
Man, just keep tabs on him. Like I've got him on alert on Twitter, because anything he puts out is just
funny. I gotta go find him. I'll do that. I'll give him a follow after the show. On Twitter, who won't let us stream there anymore. So welcome everyone on Instagram. We hope you enjoy the show. Some funny news now to some bad news. I'm really sad about this. I was using it to read tons of stuff, things I kind of got on Kickstarter, but it's gone now. You can only find a way to download your books to save afterwards and read afterwards. But
so considering it's closing,
comic book reader.
Yeah, maybe considering it's closing, it probably wasn't that popular. So why don't you tell people what it was?
Yeah, well, it was a comic book reader, so it was kind of like the newest one to follow after Comixology, which had everything on it that we all loved and we could go and read. And then the more that became popular and the more that became an Amazon element, the less usable it became, until eventually it just wasn't there at all anymore. And folks like me, folks like Dave, have now comics left in the ether that we might not ever get again. And then we're talking about hundreds or thousands of comics. So this seemed like the best alternative since Comixology app. There's been other apps, Marvel Limited, etc., since, but this looked brilliant. It was really easy to use. The guys behind it were very active on all the socials. It was really good. I really liked it, because as soon as Godfell came out, they had it on the banners. It was on their front page. They really helped promote it.
Hmm.
And I thought it was a really great app. But yeah, unfortunately, it just wasn't popular enough for it to keep going. Which is sad because there's so many of these good things available in comics and in the art sector that I think are all struggling right now. And unfortunately, Omnibus was one of them, and now it's going to shut up shop soon. So if you've been a user of Omnibus and maybe you've forgotten that you had a few books on it, now is the time to go back, get your books, and maybe even tell the guys on Twitter just how much they'll be missed, because they will be missed.
Hmm. It's sad. I mean, I was there day one for Comixology. I was such a huge fan of it. I think 2008, maybe. And I met Martin, the guy who started Comixology at New York Comic Con in 2009. And like, he was just so enthusiastic and full of plans, and they came to fruition. And Comixology was like the full deal. It was a storefront. You could buy your comics on a Thursday there, or a Wednesday back then. And then they stopped the purchasing thing.
That was difficult, yeah.
Because, as it turned out, Amazon was circling them. Then they got bought by Amazon. We were told nothing would change, and then eventually it got consumed by Kindle, and now the functionality and everything is just so different and so jarring, and so much harder to buy comics on, and they just ruined it. But fair play, Martin. You built something, you sold it to Amazon, so you can't.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Yeah, and then Omnibus came along, and seemed to be the antidote to that, because like, I went from having a massive comic book collection to shrinking it down to pretty much having only new stuff on digital, and that meant I didn't have to have extra rooms in my house filled with boxes full of comic books, which was great. And now I'm back to that because I have no digital, storefront really to work with that I can go to and just buy Marvel.
That's just it. I think there should be
Image Comics, Indie Comics.
There should be that mix of both. You should be able to go to the comic book shop and have your digital stuff available as well. And it'll be missed. Like, it was just so convenient. Their catalog was growing, and it was growing, and as they were working on more Kickstarters, I thought we'd get more of what you're just talking about with these guys. So I was really sad seeing this. I thought they were going to stick around for a lot longer. I thought they stayed the course. Yeah,
it's a shame, man. But they gave it a go, and fair play to them.
Makes me feel like that maybe it's not worth trying with anyone else. I think it has to be done by the studios, as they are selling their books on their own apps.
See, this is the thing. So I mean, I'm signed up to Unlimited. I'm not on the DC thing because it's not available in Ireland. Jim, come on, man. But it means you're kind of locked into the service, because it's not, you're never going to own those issues. And you have access to 26,000 comic books on Marvel Unlimited, which is amazing, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And you can read, and they package them up so nicely now. You can read the whole Krakoa saga from start to finish, and they have them there, and you jump on, and it's brilliant. I would argue something that gets to me is they don't run the ads in the
like the ads.
So I think when you go back to the 80s, 70s, 60s, the ads help establish the time frame, the context, the historical context of the book. And that, I think that's really important, because you'll be reading books which have, jive in them, or just really odd references to, Iron Man talking about Dr. J playing round ball. Look it up, kids.
Actually, on that note, I was chatting to Adam Cahoon recently, who's just run a set of these ads for Vault, and it's going to be in their books, and they look amazing. And has all those things you're kind of talking about, things that are kind of throwbacks to a certain time, but they're all Adam's sense of humor, and they're really,
Right.
really.
Okay. Yeah.
You look at them
He's
after the
trying.
show, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, keep
Nice.
an eye on that. Like, Falls have done some great kind of callback to what was part of comics.
But I think that's really important. And then when they do the facsimile editions, the ads are in them.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they're putting them out as printed products, so they have to put something on those pages, you know. So they just keep the ads in them, which is amazing because you see ads for GI Joe figures for like $1.50, and you know his tanks for $10, and I'm like, what the hell, you know? Because I have a his tank right here, which was not a tenner. And yeah, I think when they do that stuff, I'm sure they've done focus groups, and I'm sure readers would be upset, and I'm sure there's legal issues about reprinting ads from 50 years ago or whatever. But I don't know. For me, I think I do work in advertising, but for me, I you know, like it would be cool. Yeah, it would be cool to get. But where was I going with this? Yeah, so you're locked in to a service. It's like subscribing to Netflix.
It's another subscription
over Amazon, over you know, Apple, whatever, you know. So it's just their stuff. So you don't have that one storefront anymore, you know.
No.
So the comic book store is the winner in all of this, because I can't go to one place to get everything. So I just go and buy the single issues now. And lose real estate, like literally lose real estate in my house, because of all the boxes of all the issues, you know.
Yeah.
Rawr, angry old man.
No, I agree. I don't think there's anything angry old man about that. It's kind of disappointed that these things, that we can't have these things.
It was the future.
They were really good. Yeah. But
I remember getting my first iPad, right? And 2008, getting the iPad. I was like there, like day one, you know. Oh, I want an iPad. I'm going to pay stupid money for an iPad. Like, I think it was like half a month's wages back then or something, right? And it was just insane. And Comixology was like the third app I downloaded. And then I'm sitting there and I'm reading a comic book on Comixology, and it occurs to me, this is like Big. Remember Big, the movie?
Yeah.
Remember the idea they had? They were going to put comic books on a thing, like a video game. It was going to be like a reader. And I was like, this is the thing from Big, you know? And I was like, guys, we made it. We're in the future.
And I quite liked how you had that bit more control as a creator telling your story, because you can't accidentally see a panel before you're supposed to. You can hit that mode where you just go
panel. Oh, the panel mode, yeah.
And I thought that's pretty cool too. And I saw another thing, like if you had the app on your phone, I remember reading Scott Pilgrim, and there's a bit like where his alarm is going off, and as I get to the panel, my phone vibrates. So I'm really I'm more immersed in this moment.
Yeah.
I thought all these things were pretty cool. It worked.
You know, like
it sounds hammy maybe, but it worked. It didn't take me out of any illusion. It just kind of brought me back into it more.
I used to swing back and forth between the panel view or the page view, because I think a comic book page is an art in itself, like and the composition, and you want to appreciate the composition for what it is, but then you don't want it spoiled on you like panel to panel. So yeah, there was a bit of, I mean, it was back like 2010, Snyder's Batman run, and he did that issue which was in the maze under Gotham, and it was kind of went this way. Yeah. But the Comixology reader on the iPad, if you didn't have the aspect lock on, it couldn't handle it. So it just kept kind of flipping and flipping and flipping.
Reading your iPad like that, and just yeah. Good times. So here we go. An awful shame, but we'll see what happens down the road. But
Godspeed, Omnibus.
I put that in just before we got some good news, because I heard today.
I have no idea what this is. I'm sorry.
All right, so
you'll have to explain to me. Like I'm 9.
The actual title of the new Witcher game is coming out, and it's going to be an open world Witcher game, where you're not Geralt, you're your own Witcher. It's rumored you're going to be in the cat school and not the wolf school, which is what Geralt is part of. There's cat, bear, wolf, and
otter.
And otter. All right, we'll go with that.
I've been the otter school.
That's like what was that? The otter, the Dovar Coup, the Irish cryptid. Have you ever heard of that one?
I actually have. Yeah,
there you go.
A really good RTE radio documentary about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta check that out. I
And
think that's hilarious.
they have sound footage of what they think is the thing.
Gotta have that.
It's
That's awesome.
brilliant. It's
All
absolutely
right.
brilliant. Yeah.
I mean, I love that. Like we have encrypted, and I think it's something that these guys might hunt down.
It's
But
just a
Word,
giant dollar, isn't it? Like it's just
it's just well, it's a massive, apparently like an almost horse-sized otter. You know, yeah. So stay out of its path.
who
But
wouldn't want one of them? I'm sorry.
right, yeah. Imagine coming into
Riding
school
around on
riding on
that
the
thing.
back of a horse otter. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They can jump in the sea,
yeah,
swim along, massive claws,
yeah.
really cute. I'd want one of them.
Holds your hand when it goes to sleep. Perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
Be like Falcor, you know.
Massive Falcor, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so on the note of hunting massive Falcors, these guys have finished their time playing as Geralt, Triss, Yennefer, Ciri. Looks like all their stories been wrapped up in the games. Up until today, apparently, when we find out there's going to be a Witcher game where you get to play as Geralt in between the Last Hunt, which was the last Witcher game, and Witcher 4. It's not called Witcher 4. Everyone's calling that online because the title hasn't been revealed.
Guys, come on.
You know, and then they've since, I think, recently just moved everyone in CD Projekt Red off of Cyberpunk updates and onto the new Witcher game. So things are going to happen now in the next couple of years. All Witcher fans like myself will get a bit more of this stuff, and we'll get a last chance to play as Geralt before we hop into this new world.
So is this the same studio that made Cyberpunk?
Same studio, yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, CD Projekt Red, they know their way around a good game. This sounds fantastic.
Eventually.
Well, these things take a while to make. And those guys don't seem to do the thing where they lock people into a studio with hammocks and expect them to think that a hammock's a lovely idea and not just a way to keep you in the studio to work more hours. They seem to manage a good show.
But we got you pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like something to be excited about here. This is great news. A great franchise.
I'm excited.
Looked after by all the right people. Stories done the right way. And fantasy
so
fans.
Does the dude, what's his name? Who writes it? Does he?
Andrzej Sapkowski.
Does he write the games?
Yeah. He doesn't write the games. I think he gets a big. So he didn't think the games were going to take off. Right. So when he told CD Projekt Red that they could have rights to his brand, The Witcher, he didn't really take anything from them. He took like an initial price costs, nothing to do with royalties. The games then went on to become a big deal, and I think he said something to him afterwards, like just, I wish, he said something anyway, he'd been part of this, and they got back in touch with him, and they gave him royalties, and they give him royalties since.
Oh, that's good.
Like, yeah, they go about business the right way, and they seem like good people, and like they really do honor the books, like so like the games take up right after what was his book before last, Queen of Sorrows, I think it was, Season of Sorrows. Can't remember what one was the last one. The one where Ciri goes off and does other things. I don't want to spoil anything on anybody. But it takes up right after where you think maybe something horrible has happened to Geralt, and it just like flawlessly goes in and out of one another. It's a great homage and addition to the Witcher franchise. It's kind of like what Chris Wilde said before. They didn't try to redo everything; they just tried to add to the canon, and they did that really successfully.
Cool.
Yeah. Worth getting into, worth getting excited about. Check it out. If it's not something you're familiar with, I think you'll be into it. Especially considering
this is rare territory for me, right? Gotta tell you. I mean, other than Masters of the Universe, and I'm sure fantasy fans are going, what? But other than Masters of the Universe, I don't really truck with no fantasy, right? But I read this fantastic review of this book on the New York Times, and I'm sorry I forgot the name of the reviewer. She's a writer who writes fantasy as well. I'll look it up. But I said, I'll give it a go. And it's I'm about a third of the way into it now. It's like 700 pages, so it's pretty big. Yeah, about a third of the way in since Sunday, and it's got me, man. It's got me
It's
by
kind
the
of King Arthur
years.
Legends, right? That's what you were kind of saying it was. This is
Yeah, in keeping with the theme of our podcast, which we invariably get away from in
driving
every
around.
single episode.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is about the apocalypse of Camelot,
Cool.
and uh, one young knight from the north, or wannabe knight from the north, who eventually makes his pilgrimage to Camelot and finds that it's more or less dead.
Wow.
And there's just 5 knights from the hundreds that were a part of the Round Table left, and he sets about changing things and trying to change things, and it's just so beautifully written and very evocative
Hmm.
language, but not overly flowery or anything.
Very good.
Uh, really visually written, maybe written to be, a movie or something. But it's absolutely, yeah, it's gripping stuff.
Nice. I
Um,
must check it out. This is like the first in this Magician's trilogy, is that right?
no. He wrote the Magician's trilogy. That's
Mhm.
that's a different set of books,
Okay, very good.
which I have not read and I know nothing about. But no, I think this is a standalone
Cool.
novel. And really modern themes in it as well, but
Cool.
doesn't feel shoehorned in at all.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of like it
it's
like
kind of
yeah.
deals with the expectation of officialdom
Hmm.
and religion, and what happens when those things let you down. You know. Uh,
Interesting. That's cool.
so yeah, it's pretty great stuff. Yeah,
That's very much what's happening worldwide right now. So yeah, that's pretty
I
topical.
would I would definitely recommend it.
All right, check that out.
Yeah.
So Bright Sword, get it on the list. Before we get into our big topics for tonight, we're going to go into the last bit of the show on two main things. I'm going to do a little talk about.
Woo!
So I showed this, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The cover for issue 1 of The Odds, and last week I started on this one. So on my stream, didn't quite get it finished on the stream, but kind of didn't have enough to do a full stream tomorrow night. So tomorrow night I'll do an interior page or interior panels of The Odds. I'll definitely get a panel done in 2 hours. So please tune into that. Bennett C on pretty much all the socials. But just want to have more of our book on the show. We're going to have some. We didn't choose them last night. We probably should have, Dave. We do it next week. But we
We'll
should
do
pick
it
some
next week.
Oreos colors for
Yeah.
next week because they're just beautiful. We've shown very little. We
I'm going to ask Vito to choose them.
It's a great idea. Maybe we'll get him on. I'd love to hear what he has to say about his technique and stuff because he's just brilliant. But yeah, our book is moving. There's things happening over there. Stay tuned, and we'll have more and more on that. Over the
But
next
look at this
couple
guy. Look at this guy.
Yeah, what is he, Dave? Like, what's going on here?
He's an art. He is the epitome of an art, and
He sure is.
and the kind of the bad side of it, insofar as it can give you gifts, great gifts, and it can curse you with them too. And this chap was unfortunately cursed with the ability to turn his guts into limbs, and he's a mono focused eater, I think. is what we could call him, and he's, I think, from what I can see there, he's gathering up lunch and dinner.
This is it. He's just about to open up
this
his
is
real
so
mouth.
funny though, Ben,
Yeah.
because I've been working on Will's new show and writing scripts about little bunnies.
Very different kind of show.
And then I see this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very, very skilled, Dave. In terms of genres here, I think you juggle them all quite well. But maybe on Will's show, like there's lots of nice happy bunnies, and in here, those nice happy bunnies, they get minced.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
He looks
enjoyed
like
working.
that bunny looks like he's gonna give as good as he gets, though.
I think he's gonna lose though.
Yeah, he's looking pretty determined.
But he's
The
still
bird, on
going.
the other hand,
Bird isn't going anymore.
yeah.
But yeah, drawing
Oh man, I
human
had a
intestines.
I
That's been a fun thing to reference.
yeah,
Uh,
I can imagine.
yeah.
Glossy.
Oh, very, very.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sinewy and
Oh, you won't look
yeah.
at sausages the same way ever
I
again.
can't wait to see this colored.
Yeah, same.
It's gonna be gross. It'll be the
It's pretty,
grossest cover of the year.
especially considering the paints we've just seen him draw, well, that are quite gory. This is going to be pretty rancid. I can't wait.
He has a way of coloring and rendering blood that I've never seen in the comic before.
Same. It's so viscousy. It's
it's thick.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like it should be coming through the page.
That's it. That's what you want in your comics. You want thick blood. Really.
Yeah, you guys just merge together so well. You complement each other so well.
He makes me 10 times the artist I am. I think he's so good. Like his little knacks where he knows where to put in texture, where maybe I'm leaving it out. Just
stick with him, man.
Yeah,
he'll go a long way.
Absolutely.
Or not, I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully we all will. We'll just hold on to his coattails, keep going. Yeah, not this guy's coattails.
I've learned not to worry about that. You know?
What about this? Right, I only just read this before we came on.
From the ashes. Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. I thought this was as I'm gonna say here, really familiar.
X-Men hugs.
Felt like an old X-Men book that I could just kind of pick back up everyone and keep going again. Loved it.
The old is new again.
If anything, like the only kind of issue with it is that if you're not really familiar with these characters, you're probably gonna have to go back and find out who they all are, and there's a bit of a reach there. But I loved it. The banter between Juggernaut and Magic. Oh, that was so good.
They make a great team, don't they?
Yeah. But this team in general are quite great. I think they all complement and don't complement each other in just the right way. This was brilliant. The dialogue is good. It's funny.
Yeah, Jed McKay he's the real deal, man. He's brilliant. And he's been working hard the last I don't know how long, 20 years maybe. And he deserves this book. Like it's and he's absolutely brilliant.
I wonder how much of a say himself had on the look of this, because like as the book reads, it feels like a throwback to something I'm familiar with. But then you see these graphics and it is something I'm familiar with, you know? I wonder how much that was on purpose, or was it something that they did?
It's definitely on purpose, because you had that kind of, and I mean this with the greatest respect, over-designed look of the Krakoa books that Tom Mueller designed and did an amazing job, and his iconic design, and will and has a future touring the world talking about how he did that and created the Krakoan alphabet and all this cool stuff that went into it. But this is a step back, to go forward, and this is 90s, baby.
Yeah, 100%.
This is look at those colors.
I can almost smell the page. I know what that page looks like. Yeah.
But if you look at like the top right hand corner, the corner box, which they don't put heads in, which I was annoyed about. They have a 1 on. But they've the legacy numbering of 301 up there as well. So, it's 300 issues since Jim Lee's big cover for this particular book.
Wow,
that's mad.
But I really, really enjoyed it. This team are just fantastic. I think we can see a lot more of these guys.
Yeah, and Stegman on an X book.
Stegman, right?
Yeah,
I mean. He's really, I'm not saying he wasn't before, because he's always fucking amazing. He's just brilliant, but he's really, really hit a different level here. His expressions are just so energetic. Even when they're kind of just saying something, you can see an accent on the way he's moving the chin, the jaw, and people are kind of having just a bit of dialogue. It is so good. I haven't seen that much squash and stretch in comics since like Ramos on Crimson what's it, Crimson Red, Crimson Blood, or something. Way
Oh
back.
yeah.
Crimson. I think it was just called Crimson.
Is
Actually,
Crimson? Yeah, is vampire thing.
But
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's so cool.
What
It's
was the
so
evil?
cool.
What was the evil Gen 13 book Ramos did? What was that? There was like a bad guy version of Gen 13 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, Deviate. Oh, had a little brain hemorrhage there. Remember that?
Yeah, I was like, how am I not going to call this now? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go Googling on air, but
Yeah,
I
no, it was
would have.
Deviate. Yeah.
But great book. Everything about this just felt right. The designs, the banter between the characters is really good. There's just enough.
I love how pissed off everyone is.
Sorry?
I love how pissed off everyone on the team is. And like Psyche isn't outwardly pissed off with the rest of the team because he is a leader to his boots. He's a leader in this, right?
Yeah.
But he's pissed off. Like they had paradise. It was taken away from them, you know, and now they have to go and find the mutants who survived that attack by Sentinel. Look up the whole Krakoan thing. It's amazing. Read it. It's great. It's all on Marvel Unlimited. You'll find out why they're in this particular predicament. But they're back to feared and hated, and they're still trying to protect people and do their thing. But everyone is really pissed off. And look at that shot of them.
Right. Yeah.
Look at Psylocke.
But like this feels like a new iconic X-Men team. Like I just get there's so much potential here to not just be another X-Men team, but to be one of the better ones. I'm just getting great feels, and because everyone here is so pissed off with one another and just life, there's a great contrast with everyone's dialogue with Beast, who's quite upbeat and pleasant, and
he's all about the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
And the situation is dire.
It's pretty bad.
But he's keeping it together.
Things aren't good. Look at these guys. Things are not going their way. But
man, Stegman's on another level with this one, isn't he?
I love it. Like and I just want to
go
Marty
Gracia on the colors.
JP Mayer on
his inks
as well. Like I mean, all these guys together here are doing something I think pretty special in terms of Marvel books that are coming out at the moment. This feels like because they stay the course for a while longer, not just be a 6 or 8 issue thing and then move on and get a new team. I feel like these guys could hang around for a while.
I'd say if you're into it, I would recommend that you follow or subscribe to Tom Brevert's weekly email as well.
Okay, cool.
He has spent since it was announced that he was taking over the X office, he has spent the last week, like there's a weekly email, week in, week out, and he has spent the last 20 weeks fielding questions on the X-Men.
Wow. All right.
And it's brilliant because he's a man I really respect. He's a man with a point of view, and he doesn't care if you don't agree with him. He's just gonna tell you, and you can deal with it, and that's it.
Right.
And he's not mean about things or whatever, but he's just like, no, we don't do things like that. We do it like this, and this is why we did it. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. And it's really worth reading. It's brilliant.
As someone else that has a newsletter, I don't know how he does one every week. That's crazy. I check that out. Nice.
It's great.
So this is hitting the mark for us, but this has ended, and I think it has not been received very well at all. We were talking about this briefly last night. I have liked it. I think there's some really good things to take away from this show, even though it's probably not going to get a season 2. I hope it does. And it's probably going to slow things Star Wars down for a while to come, just because of the absolutely huge backlash the fans have had for it.
Just crying. I'm just so upset.
But I did enjoy this.
I know you did.
I had issues with it for sure, and I was waiting for some of these things to pay off in the end. Some of them did. A lot of them didn't.
Some of them were just ridiculous and should never have been set up in the first place.
And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier on. So, this I think was a project that suffered from too many cooks. I believe and I heard on, was it the Break Room, the show on YouTube, there was some leak that it got out that there was a change in the script at some point with Disney, I
Did
think.
they want to put She-Hulk in it?
Yeah. No, it was going to be. Remember, we were
That would
saying
have
the last
killed
few
the
weeks.
incels.
That'd be really funny seeing them break the fourth wall.
Yeah, She-Hulk just shows up. Yeah, so what? You know? Yeah, and Captain Marvel, she's here too. Yeah, that would.
Yeah,
I would have loved that. That would have been brilliant.
that would have been the final straw, I think. But
Kamala Khan, you know, stick them all in.
yeah, it's just. What was I saying? I forgot that.
I don't know. Some story on the Break Room.
So the rumor was, it was. We were saying the last few times we talked about this. We would love a Star Wars show that was from the point of view of a Sith being trained.
No, you said that. I didn't say that.
Was. Well, okay, I said it. I would love that. That's apparently what this was supposed to be. And then I believe Disney came in and said we can't really do that. Need to focus on the good guys. So I feel that's kind of why it floated in between both those stories without really hitting the mark on either hour. And at the very end in this episode, I feel like there was a misplaced story beat where we had the guy from the Senate come in and give the whole reason why he doesn't trust the Jedi. And obviously it plays out because we've all seen the other trilogies and we know he was correct. But I feel like that should have been in episode 1. And it would have made us feel very different about other characters' motivations and actions, as opposed to maybe supplying those answers ourselves without being giving them through the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think they spend way too much time on building characters through prologue and dialogue, and you know, and having an Act 1, and really they should have just jumped off on Act 2, have an inciting incident, do it, bang, you're there. You know, it was they kind of started it with action, but then rolled back from it. Like it just felt like. Yeah. Felt like they were going places, and then they were told, "No, you have to come back." And it was like they were trying to please everybody, and as a result, please nobody. And
that's what I mean by it floating in the middle. It didn't really go one way. Yeah, it felt like it was
made by committee as opposed to one particular perspective or point of view. Because you know, you get a director like Leslie Headland in. You know, if she wants to say, "Well, I think the Jedi are bad," then you go, "Brilliant, go and make that." You know, do that. I don't think you step in, you go, don't do this, don't do that. You know, if that is what happened, I don't know. We'll never know. Let's face it. You know,
that's like, the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. I wonder.
That looks dumb. I'm sorry, but that looks dumb.
I think that looks cool, but I can't believe that the only time we saw this whip lightsaber was to kill a bug. We didn't see a fight. We didn't see a big thing with it. I believe they built this character to be something different in the show. That then we didn't get to see what that character was supposed to be. Looks like she's underhandedly working a different kind of agenda. But then, like, for what purpose? What was the whole thing? Why? It just, it didn't pay off. At one point, it looked like she was on the phone to Palpatine. We find out at the end it's someone else.
But it's 150 years before any of that stuff.
Yeah, so. That was the other thing. This was supposedly like Plagueis's time as Sith Lord.
That conversation on the phone, whatever, you know, that conversation that she's having in the temple with that unnamed individual, it honestly sounded like the kind of conversation. It ended like the kind of conversation you have with a builder. You know, and it was like, okay, see what I can do. You know, it's like,
yeah,
it was so
weird.
The
gravitas of what was happening didn't come across, like, which is sad. Like, because I think like there were so many cool things added to the canon in this show. The little rules Jedi had early on. What makes a good Jedi versus what makes a good Sith. I think all these things are really interesting. I think Chimera is one of the best things ever to happen to Star Wars. A great villain. Really, I think he's brilliant.
I don't think he is yet. I think he has the makings of a good villain. I think he hasn't had the proper script yet. to be
I don't think he's had time on screen to show us how good he is.
I
But
mean, he's great with a lightsaber, and the kind of katana, Wazakashi kind of
fighting,
double-handed ninja style fighting, brilliant. But I don't think he's been given the lines to be a great villain yet.
I think he had some difficult lines to pull off, and he's pulled them off. But I don't think he's had enough screen time. I think the best thing about the show was him, and we didn't see enough of him. And almost as soon as we got to see what he's capable of,
there was so much in the last episode, Ben. There was, and this is where I'm going to be mean, right?
Yeah,
but there was so much of these kind of mid shots. Where am I?
Yeah.
Right, there's so much of these mid shots where he's in the foreground, she's back here, just behind his head, and it's straight up soap opera.
Yeah.
Like it's Days of Our Lives or Another World, and it's like he's and it's just, what's going on here?
But then there's great moments where we hear Soul talk about how May and Osha's mother created them using the Force, and we see a little glimpse of Kymir in the background have a little like, what the fuck, really? The Force, and you can see all these things ticking in his head, cogs turning in just a couple of seconds.
But you know what? I hated that was all explained. Show us. Don't tell us.
Well, here's one thing I really didn't like about it. We don't find out why May and Osha, being this big Virgins in the Forge, being a big issue of interest. Like, what do they want to get out of it specifically? Is it to study them? Is it to find out how? Is it to find out what they're now going to do? What they can't do? Should they be let? They shouldn't be trained. They're too old. The same stuff we have.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been surprised if Jedi technicians came in with like giant, Hoovers or proton packs, and we're like, "Yeah, we're just here for the midichlorians." Just like that would have made more sense because we never found out why.
Well, that was the other thing. Like, so this was a Brendock was the planet, I think, if I recall. Like,
Brenda.
This was supposed to like be a lifeless planet due to a past event where a spaceship was supposed to crash through. Yeah. Like, but there's loads of life on it, and like they're studying it. They're taking in loads of plant life, loads of fauna. They're eating the things. They're getting fed up eating the things for 6 or 7 weeks. I mean, there's plenty of life on this planet. Like, none of that was explained. Back to kind of what you talked about before about finding out like what the commerce of a was it a mechanic? Was that her job? Like, how that works? And who's Basil? What's the whole deal with him? What are those little guys on the Cortosis Island? Like, what's all those stories? I'd love to know what the story was with Brendock and what's going on there.
Well, I think that was implied that the Force just brought that back to life. Yeah, and
but that's it. But like, that's just it. It was implied. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. I honestly don't mind that. But I don't need to be told. Like, just show it to me. So I mean, like, bring me on the journey and feed me the breadcrumbs and I'll find my way. But I felt like that denouement at the end of the show with Saul, and he didn't sell it to me, man. He was like, "No, I killed him," and I just thought there was too much exposition in that dialogue. I would rather even if they just cut to it and showed it again. I know we'd seen it twice from two different perspectives, but it still didn't do it. It didn't do what it was meant to do. I don't know. And then let's not forget.
Oh yeah, like I felt that was pretty wasted. Like, what's your opinion of this? Like, do you think
I really don't care about?
I
don't care about expanded universe that much, right? I don't, because my experience with Star Wars is primarily the movies. I wasn't really around for Clone Wars. I was out having fun. Then, the prequels there, went to see him, was very excited, came home very disappointed. And the Disney shows, for me it's like the original trilogy and the Disney shows. They're the ones I really care about. I read Heir to the Empire. I read Dash Rendar stuff, the comic books, the Dark Horse back in the day, and Force Unleashed, the game. I think that was amazing. But I mean, that was the extent of it for me. I didn't get into. I mean, there's that conversation in, is it Revenge of the Sith, about Plagueis the Wise or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I love that Star Wars can do that, can have a throwaway line that fans will obsess over, that then becomes its own thing. And I mean, it's like it's Boba Fett all over again, you know, becomes its own thing, becomes a book, becomes a movie or a show or whatever, blah blah, you know. And that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing to me that it can happen. Do I care? Not really, you know. Because I don't need everything explained. And this is the thing, right? You know, like with the prequels, they started explaining what the Force was. And now we're going to get an explanation as to where Anakin came from. Because this is, okay, Plagueis has realized you can manufacture life from the Force. And we're 3 generations away from Anakin, or 4 generations away from Anakin in this show. So, you know, is Palpatine going to be manufactured from the Force? Is Shmi Skywalker going to be manufactured from the Force? Let's not forget Shmi. And then is Anakin, who, you know, doesn't have a father, you know, virgin birth, as Shmi said, you know, is he going to be manufactured from the Force? So it's all leading to that, you know. But then I don't necessarily want those things explained. I never wanted to hear. If you had been in Savoy 1 in 1999, when Liam Neeson said the word midichlorians, you would have heard my heart hit the floor, right? Because I'm like, it's science? No, it's not. It's magic. You know, we can't have science behind this, you know. And now, you know, it turns out that the Sith's biggest plan was a chemistry set, you know. And you know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, the what was it? What was it referred to in the show? They had another term for it.
I don't know. Virgins, that thing.
No, an M count. It's like
the M count. M standing for midichlorians.
I mean, the midichlorian thing aside, yes, I agree. When that happened, it was kind of it was such an off-putting thing. It kind of takes you out of the illusion, and then you kind of put yourself back in. I think this guy was the reason you kind of get back into the illusion, because I think the show, like a lot of mysteries, throw you a lot of questions, but then they have to pay off in the end, and they don't even really tied up anything. And I think if anything, they left us with more questions. And like, I kind of feel like we've been left hanging a bit. So I mean, I gotta ask: do you think we're going to get any more of this show, or do you think?
Well, Star Wars will do what Star Wars wants to do, you know, and it's never allowed itself to be pushed around, or beaten up by nerds on the internet, right? So fair play to them; they do exactly what they want to do. I don't know if people want to see a continuation of this.
I know I do.
I think if they rebrand this as, you know, I don't know, Sith, you know, call it something more Sith-like, maybe then, you know, because I mean, Acolyte was, as you said, was meant to be the story of how the Sith came up, you know, and maybe this is kind of roundabout the way, you know,
to go about doing that,
But yeah, I mean, they'll do what they want to do. I mean, I bear no ill will towards anyone making it, because it's so hard to make things.
And it's a fan base which will never really please as well. Like,
no, I'm just not the guy for this show. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong or it's bad, or you know, I'm just saying it wasn't for me. You know, do I want to watch more of it? Absolutely not.
You know? Absolutely not. So if season 3 came out, you wouldn't watch it?
Oh, you know I will, but I mean, I don't want to. You know, I feel like I have to. But yeah.
I will watch it. I really hope there's more.
1, 2, 3. I'm just counting all the corpses in this picture. Like, why?
I really want some more. I think it can really. I think there's really cool things in this to shed some light on, or play with, or explore more.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of really what I want out of Star Wars. It's just kind of some fun sci-fi fantasy stuff,
I
and
mean,
it's always done that, you know.
I don't see this as being fun at all.
I
This,
did,
like,
yeah.
I
There's the
mean, the
fighting.
next, other than the fights, there's no
Mm,
fun in this. So the next series of this, you know, we end on that shot
mm-hmm.
of Yoda's little
Yeah,
head,
yeah.
you know, and Vanestra going to see Yoda. And, you know, so that conversation is gonna go sideways pretty quickly because he
Mm-hmm.
knows the truth because he's Yoda, right? And he knows when people are lying to him.
Yeah, he's good at keeping
But
secrets.
what's the conversation going to be? You know, is everything all right? Or everything all right? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to be fronting, going, "Yeah, no, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good." And then he's going to be like, "Oh, massive disturbances in the force. What's happening? You know, what's your
Yeah.
report on that?" And she's, "Oh, I don't know. It's all good." You know.
I think that's all they will do. Like,
But really, what we're looking at in another season is watching the slow demise of the Catholic Church, right?
yeah.
An institution that's that big.
Mm-hmm.
And as fun and all as that is in real life, you know, do I need to watch a drama about it? I don't know if I do, man.
What about a drama about it, like with magic swords and magic spells and all that stuff?
But it's not magic; it's science.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I'm
I
so
mean, the
game
swords
for
aren't
more.
magic. We've seen the crystals. We've
Like,
seen them short out. We've seen them react to a specific kind of metal that shorts them out. You know,
yeah.
and then one of them has one that's a whip, which is really weird. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, man. I'm
No,
trying.
don't be sorry. I think that's actually
You
quite
know I
good.
love this shit,
Like,
but
I don't think this was as bad as everyone kind of has said. I think you
no.
can get easily caught up in, yeah, the flaws. There are flaws. The script has wandered. I think character motivations chopped and changed needlessly.
Yeah. And the
And I feel
structure
like,
was all wrong.
yeah, I feel like the character setups were missed after they'd set themselves up. I think there's a lot of stuff that happened in that last episode that should have been in episode 1.
Yeah.
And I think if they had chopped and changed the structure a bit, this would have been a better show. I think things that happened in episode 6 could have happened in episode 3. And things could have happened later on instead of as early as it did, because it went very linear, having started off as something quite fun. And I
Like
think
they're
they set
trying to
the
be
bar
quite
quite high.
clever with that sequence in the middle where they showed
Mhm.
the kind of event from two different angles, you know?
Yeah,
And that shows that they have the capacity to tell non-linear stories. So why
mhm,
the hell didn't they? Like, you know, I
yeah,
mean, Homer could do it, you know, with the Odyssey, with a
yeah,
backward narrative. But like, I would have started on that battlefield, you
yeah,
know, with
yeah,
Saul dead and worked because then it becomes a detective show.
mm,
And then you've got something to follow. You've nothing. There's nothing to keep you interested. There's nothing to follow. Because at the very, very start, the biggest trick that they have, they show their hand immediately and they go, actually, no, they're twins.
he's a twin.
You know,
Yeah,
and you're, oh, for God's sake. You
yeah.
know, yeah.
Like my opinion on that was, okay, I saw that. I thought we were set up for a twin, but if they're not going to do it, then maybe they're going to do something different. I'll be surprised, but they didn't. They just kind of let that play out. Yeah, and that just means it's kind of falling flat.
Yeah.
So
And that
yeah,
big reveal that they're the same person,
mm.
that did not land at all.
No, it didn't. And
Because you'd come to that conclusion already.
yeah, and it was only kind of something I kind of thought like maybe days after seeing it, and goes, oh, so that doesn't mean they're twins then. So that means what? Like that they're weak without each one. I liked how they don't know where the song that the rhyme they kind of say to each other came from. So it makes me feel like that. I don't know. Was that maybe something that was part of the chant that the witches did, like when they had that other chant?
Plagueis used to
Right.
sing it to them when they were going to bed.
Yeah.
Always
Just pour a bottle of milk. Yeah.
You know?
Or before he went.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those creepy ones. Yeah.
She'd creep them to bed.
So I think that's us. I think we're
All right. Angry old man time's over.
15. I think we should start telling people where they can start seeing us now. Like I
Yeah, we're
think
going to tell you where to go, people.
we're looking into going back on Twitter, but for the moment we will be here on Instagram, we'll be on Twitch, and we'll be on YouTube. Always on Twitch and YouTube. So as always, please like, subscribe, and follow. We love all
Please
the
like
likes
us.
and
Please.
the comments and all that stuff coming our way. It's been great. Please keep them coming. But we will try to get back on Twitter, I think, because we had far more interaction on that. So if you don't want us to go to Twitter, interact with us, tell us a bit more. Tell people where they can find you, Dave.
You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. And what's that other one? Threads and Elon Musk's Hell Factory. And that's kind of it. Yeah. And Dublin. You can find me in Dublin. Weirdly, a truck pulled up outside my house as I was sitting here earlier with my name on it.
All right, nice.
Yeah, Dave Hendrick Construction.
Did you venture into a new industry and not let us know?
No, I was thinking, have I ventured into some parallel dimension?
So
I went outside and I showed the guys my driver's license, and I was like, what's going on?
Is this your truck?
Yeah.
They just gave you the keys and they walked away then,
yeah. So there's a dude working in construction with my name.
So do you have to go Highlander him?
Maybe later. He's big though. He's a big guy. Yeah.
No. Yeah. What you need is one of those lightsaber whips, you know.
Oh yeah.
That's it. You can find me at Bennessy on pretty much all the socials, and I'll be on my stream tomorrow night on Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, and I'll be drawing another page of the odds. Please tune in.
Yay!
Thank you for your questions, and they're brilliant.
What's Dave really
great bit of chat. The last one. You have so many different.
How do you put up with them?
Oh, good. Yeah. How do you keep up with them all?
Yeah. Is this some kind of hostage situation you're in? You know.
Excellent.
Ben, blink if you've been kidnapped.
Yeah, that's us. We'll head off at that, and I'll go see my kidnapper as soon as I hang up the.
Go read XMEN if you haven't already.
Pick it up. It's really good.
Uncanny's on its way from Gelsman. It's out next month. And I think we get X Factor, and NYX this month as well.
Very good. What are we doing on the next episode of the Ons, actually, before we go?
Oh, we'll be doing some of this. We'll be doing some Batman as well.
Batman animated series. In
anticipation of the Caped Crusader, we shall be talking about our favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series.
So tune in. Tell us what your favorite episode is. There's chances are we'll have a little bit of overlap here. So that'll be next week's show. Batman the Animated Series. See you guys then. Bye.
Oh, do it again.